So then we are looking at language and style. Language and style. And this is very important in writing because there is a very strong relationship between language and style in the sense that language determines the style of the writer. We identify the style by looking at the nature of the language used in a write-up. Starting with language. So language determines whether writing is effective or not. The way you weave your language to construct your expressions, your thought, your intention will determine whether what you have written is effective, whether it communicates across to your audience or does not pass the appropriate information across. So language determines whether your writing is effective or not. And it makes writing effective when it communicates clear message to the reader, meaning that if your language communicates clear information to your reader, it means that your writing is effective. But if it does not communicate, it means it is not effective. And we can say that language is the tool through which the message of the writer is encoded and disseminated to the reader. Language is a tool. And that tool is used in encoding the writer's message. That tool is used in encoding the writer's message in order to pass it across to the reader. Because in every writing we do, you realize that you construct words, sentences, and paragraphs to package your information. So writing, language is the tool for you to achieve that purpose. And when we're talking about language, there are certain things you need to take note of. One of them is grammatical expressions. Good grammatical expressions shows that your language is appropriate. Then, appropriate use of punctuation marks and varying sentence structures. So grammar is essential in any issue that has to do with language, use of punctuation, and your sentence structures. Meaning that when you are writing, make sure you have good grammatical expressions. You use your punctuations effectively, and also your sentence must be varied. You are not expected to keep using simple sentence throughout your write-up or compound sentence throughout your write-up or complex. It should be a mixture of all different kinds of sentences, simple plus complex plus compound complex, so that you'll be able to express your thoughts clearly. So one thing you need to notice is that every successful writer needs mastery of language. It needs mastery of language and also make appropriate choice according to the purpose and situation of writing. If you claim you are a writer, but your language is weak, your writing will not be effective and it will not fly. So let's look at grammar, as we mentioned it earlier. So grammar is essential in writing. Grammar is essential. That's the reason whoever wants to be a good writer must learn grammar, must have a good knowledge of grammar. So a writer needs good knowledge of grammar to compose meaningful expressions. To compose meaningful expressions, through which his message will be disseminated to the readers. So you as a writer, you need good knowledge of grammar to write whatever you want to write, to compose, and every other thing. Maybe you want to write a book, an article, a journal, or just an essay. You need to understand various grammatical conventions and comply with them. You must comply with various grammatical conventions, such as concord. You know what concord is? Agreements between the subject and verb, between the pronoun and antecedents and different rules of concord. You must understand them. Tense. You should understand the use of tense, number, aspect, mood. Then you need to learn how to make appropriate choice of words. You need to choose the word that will carry the exact meaning. You know, there is something we call synonyms. Synonyms are words with similar meaning. Synonyms does not mean the same meaning, it's just similar. And in the sense of similar meaning that among these similarities, certain one will be appropriate. For example, when you are asked to quit or leave a building, you will be given a quit notice. Why not vacate notice? Why not depart notice? Why not leave notice? Why is it quit? You should note that there is appropriate word suitable to your work. There's appropriate word suitable to what you intend to express. Then make appropriate expressions. Express what you want to express in simple way. And when you comply with these conventions, your write-up will be grammatically correct. It will be grammatically correct. Therefore, you'll be able to write correct phrases, clauses, and sentences which will make your work effective. So you must comply with grammar rules, because grammar refers to rules that guide how language is used. And if a user of language violates any of those rules, his or expression becomes ungrammatical. And that's the reason you must comply with the rules that guide how language should be used and make appropriate choice of language. Next is punctuation. Punctuation. Punctuation is essential in writing. So punctuation marks are referred to as the tool of writing. The tool of writing. Because if you don't have good knowledge of punctuation, a good written essay, badly punctuated, will not communicate the intended message. It will end up confusing the reader, not knowing what they are supposed to do. So punctuation marks help us to write, read, and interpret written words or expressions. When you apply them appropriately, they will help us to understand the message, the intention you have, your thoughts, your idea, your belief. So appropriate application of the marks of punctuation will give meaning to your write-up. So punctuation marks help in the organization of written expression. Organization is a written expression in order to produce the required meaning. In order to produce the required meaning. Remember, I said the required meaning because there may be another meaning that may not be required. And failure to use the punctuation appropriately may generate unrequired meaning. The expression will still be meaningful, but it will not be the expected meaning. And that's the reason we say that bad punctuation can mar a well-written essay. Bad punctuation can mar a well-written essay. Because when you write your essay, a sentence at times may generate several meanings. Look at the little example we have in the sentence. Mr. Fred said the consultant will arrive tomorrow, converting it to a reported speech. Look at we have Mr. Fred, comma, quotation starts, the consultant will arrive tomorrow. Quotation close. Here we have quotation, Mr. Fred, quotation close, comma, said the consultant, comma, quotation start again, will arrive tomorrow. If you look at this second sentence, the speaker here is Mr. Fred. And the one that will arrive tomorrow is consultant. So Mr. Fred reports that the consultant will arrive tomorrow in this expression. But look at the second one. Mr. Fred said the consultant will arrive tomorrow. Here, the consultant is the speaker. The consultant is the speaker here. But the person that will arrive tomorrow is Mr. Fred. The consultant said that Mr. Fred will arrive tomorrow. You realize that application of punctuation mark has actually altered the meaning of the expression by giving us two different kinds of meaning. Two different kinds of meaning. So let's look at types of punctuation briefly. I believe you know them already. Types of punctuation. We have longer pause. Longer pause. Among the longer pause, we have full stop, question mark, and exclamation mark. Full stop, question mark, and exclamation mark. Then we have shorter pause. Among shorter pause, we have comma, colon, semicolon, dash, and brackets. Longer pause means that you wait for a longer period before you continue, relatively longer before you continue. But shorter one means that you are speaking, you just pause a little bit and you continue. Among them, we have the full stop. You know that full stop is used to end a sentence. Full stop is used to end a sentence. For example, he is doing fine in his studies. The presence of full stop here shows that the sentence has come to an end. The second thing is that it is used to end an indirect question. Some questions are indirect. As long as the question is indirect, does not need a full question mark, you can use full stop. He asked how he's doing in his studies. He asked how he's doing in his studies. You realize that the full stop ends this indirect question. And we also use it with abbreviation and acronyms, although the use is optional, like doctor, dr dot, but you may see it doctor without dots, prof, USA, PhD, BSc, and the rest. But the choice is there. You may apply, you may not apply. Also, full stop is used in email addresses. It is used in email addresses and internet websites. For example, you have www.google.com. Another one, lukamu@hotmail.com. So it is used in electronic address. Next one is exclamation. Exclamation is used to express surprises. It's used to express surprises. Example, bravo, hooray, ouch. It's used for emotional expression. And the mark is there to indicate that what has been said is an expression of emotion or feeling. So there we have question mark. Question mark. Question mark on its own is used to introduce a direct question. If a statement is a question, you apply a question mark to get the meaning. For example, how may I help you? Shows that the expression is a question. How may I help you? Shows that the expression is a question. So we have a comma among the short pauses. A comma is used to separate items in a list. Comma is used to separate items in a list. For example, we need stationery, furniture, curtain, and rug. Here it separates the item listed here: stationery, furniture, curtain. It is also used to separate a subordinate clause from a main clause. That is, when a subordinate clause starts the sentence. When a subordinate clause starts the sentence, a comma is used to separate it from the main clause. For example, when you are ready for us, you should contact us. When you are ready for us, there is a comma that separates that subordinate clause from the main clause: you should contact us. Another point is that comma is also used to mark a direct quotation in a reported speech. It is used to mark a direct quotation in a reported speech. She said, comma, I know what I am doing. So comma here separates reported speech in the quotation. And the last thing we look at in language is we look at spelling. You should note that spelling is crucial in language, in writing especially, because it can create confusion. Spelling is crucial in writing because wrong spelling leads to creation of another word. Wrong spelling leads to creation of another word, which has not been conventionally acceptable. If you spell something wrong, you have created a new word, but that word has not been acceptable. Therefore, it will be marked as a wrong spelling, and that may cost you some marks. And such a wrongly spelled word distorts communication because the word will not be able to express the right thing in the composition of book, essay, or any kind of write-up you are doing. There was a day I was reading reading a text to edit it. The person intended to write examination, but wrongly spelled it as extermination. That extermination there has disrupted the flow of thoughts, the meaning in the write-up. So we have to correct it to the right one. And written communication becomes ineffective when it contains wrongly spelled words. Written communication becomes ineffective when it contains wrongly spelled words. It becomes ineffective. So there are some words that are wrongly spelled because they appear similar and therefore confuses the writer. The writer may not know which choice he or she is supposed to make in the process of writing. So some of those words are here. You should note that they have different meaning in spite of the similarities in their forms. They are not the same. They just appear similar. Therefore, the writer needs to be careful when choosing any of them. The writer needs to make a careful choice in that situation. So look at them. We have affect, effects. They appear similar, but they have different meaning. Alter, alter. Adapt, adopt. Dairy, dairy. Is. Deserts, desert. Precede, proceed. Complement, complement. Exalt, exalt. Extent, extant. Already. Allude, elude. Human, humane. Emaciate, emancipate. Sin, sin. recent, recent, cancel, cancel, order, order, there, there. If you look at all this, you realize that there are some similarities between them in terms of their spelling, but they are different words. They have different meanings and they communicate different information. And that's the reason you need to make the appropriate choice when you are writing, for your writing not to have a crisis. And doing this will make your language effective. It will make your writing appropriate. So that's not about language. Let's look at style. Style is a pattern or format of writing or speaking peculiar to an individual, a group, or a profession. So style is the pattern of writing or format that must be taken, or mode of speaking peculiar to you, or a particular group, or a particular profession. You know that when lawyers are speaking, there is a particular way in which they speak. When doctors, medical practitioners are speaking, there is a way they speak. When footballers, the commentators are speaking, there is a way. That's their style. For example, when your mom calls you on a phone and she uses another line that you don't have, as soon as she speaks, how do you know she's the one and not another person? Because that is her style of speaking. Maybe she may just say, "Oh, call me. That's her mommy. Why do you use another person's phone?" Because nobody informed you that it was your mom. But it's your mom that always speak in that particular format, using the compliment of calling you a child, my husband. So you know that that style is peculiar to your mom. As soon as she speaks, coupled with her intonation, you know that, no, this is my mom. That's what marks your mom out of several other people that may call with another or unknown line. So it's peculiar to her, peculiar to a group, peculiar to a profession. There is a way some different tribes, different groups speak. If somebody in Yoruba land, if somebody is from Ijebu, they have their own style of speaking. Shomunoi and the rest. From Egba, they have their own style. From Mawori, they have their own style of speaking. From Oyo, they have their own style. So style is peculiarity of language use, either in written or in spoken form, that help us to mark someone from another, a group, a profession. And you should know that style is appropriate to audience. Style is appropriate to audience because there is a way the audience expects you to address them. So it's the format that appeals to them. You cannot be called to a religious gathering and you have to come and address them, maybe it's introducing. Then I'll say, you guys, you realize that the people are there, the people are the audience will frown at you because you guys is not the appropriate word to use as part of style to address congregation in a religious setting. But when you are in your youth gathering, nobody will raise any issue. By the time you say, you guys say, yeah. Because that is the style appropriate to the youth gathering. So when you are writing, you need to understand the style that appeals to your audience. The style that appeals to your audience. By the time you use the style that appeals to them, it means you are using the kind of language suitable to their hearing. And in doing that, the writer must understand the audience. You must do what we call audience analysis. You as a youth, invited to address elderly people. You should try to understand the nature of their language and know that the elders believe in the use of figurative language, in the use of figures such as proverbs, idioms, and the rest. That will make them to concentrate their attention on you to hear what you have to say. If your audience are youths, address them in the language of youth. So you must understand, do the audience analysis. Know what will appeal to them, what will make them happy, what will make them develop interest in whatever you have to say. And know that your audience may be educated. If your audience is well educated, you need to use a language that will appeal to them, meaning the formal style. If you have less educated audience, you need to use the style that will appeal to them. Tone down the formality of your language. May bring some level of pidgin into your expression and a kind of code switching, a mixture of certain words that will make the meaning clear to them. If you have youth as your audience, use the language appropriate to the youth. When you have children, you know they welcome the language that will appeal to their senses, that projects picture or image. But if you have professionals as your audience, use the registers in that particular profession. Writing for the fashion, those in the fashion industry, you need to use the language appropriate. Fashion terms. Writing for entertainers, use the entertainers registers. Politicians, use the political jargon, as we call it. Religious group and several others. So you must make the appropriate choice when addressing your audience. So choose the style suitable to your audience. Your style must be suitable to your audience. And using appropriate style helps in effective writing. It makes your writing effective. If you use the appropriate style, your writing will be effective. So let's also look at a couple of style. A couple of style. Number one there is earnest. Earnest style. This style expresses sincerity in the write-up and encourages the audience to find out the importance of the idea discussed in the essay. Be sincere. So you can adopt earnest style in your writing by being sincere in your write-up and state the facts so that your audience will understand the importance of the idea or the message you have to pass across. For example, it is obvious that fighting corruption cannot eradicate poverty in our society, but good administration will do. That's a fact. Be earnest. The second one is elaborate style. This elaborate style encourages vast illustration with the use of figurative speech and describing details. Elaborate style encourages large and wide illustrations through which you can keep explaining using figurative expression. But this style is not much encouraged in a formal writing. But if the writing is not a formal writing, not a professional writing, you can use it. For example, the event was gracefully attended by those at the helm of affairs in the society. They are furnished with the latest designer fabrics, and their steps are calculated with rhythmic tune of a chiming bell. It just shows that you are giving excessive illustration. Excessive illustration. That may not be encouraged in a formal writing. The next one is exquisite style. This style appeals to the senses of audience by using flowery words, catchphrases, figure of speech. The intention of this writer is to impress the audience. This style is not much encouraged. is not much encouraged. For example, the sky is mysteriously designed with clouds, which produce rain on earth. The sun is perfectly positioned to radiate light to and evaporate water from the earth. The moon appears at night with dotted stars emitting tiny lights. It's just using the flowery language to appeal. But next one is formal style. Formal style employs formality. It employs formality. It does not accept the use of any colloquial expression or slang. The formal style is encouraged in your writing. It's encouraged in your writing. For example, the social media has taken over the control of cyberspace. Straight to the point, direct, without any unnecessary illustration. So, formal style is encouraged in writing. Next one is flats. Flats. Flat is commonplace expression. Does not provoke the audience or reader to do anything, just making a statement that does not encourage your reader to go ahead with whatever you have to say. For example, my friends need to be serious with their studies if they really want to graduate with a good grade. It's just a flat statement. Does not make something special. But next one is grandiose. Grandiose. The style makes an impression on the audience by using complex, unfamiliar words, phrases, and expressions. This style is mostly used to impress the audience. You find it in some political talks, campaigns, and the rest. It's used to make an impression on the audience. If you meet the orators, they are mostly found using such expression, or the entertainer at an event. They use such expression to gain attention and approval of the audience at the events. So, for example, I am flabbergasted by the intensity of the atrocity that is being perpetrated by the machinery erected to lubricate social parastatals in order to escalate the economic standard of our society.